Okay guys, what is up? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Trades Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below. You can also find it at the top of the chat. Join discussions, share ideas. I share my ideas there as well. So if you're interested, make sure you check it out, link in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is well. Good morning, Tony Gold, as always. Hope you're doing good. Ahmed, what is up, my man? Hope you're well. Tashi, good morning. Hope you are well. So, as always, we'll go through the USD side of things first. DXY, USD majors, gold, silver, and we'll go through some indices as well. If you do have any requests, any particular pairs you are looking at, feel free to drop it down in the chat and we'll take a look. There's a few pairs which I'm eager to go through, which we'll get through shortly. But USD is still pretty interesting. Still a few USD pairs I'm looking at. Some moves have happened unexpectedly. I mean, quite a lot of moves have happened unexpectedly, but there's still some interesting setups I'm keeping a close eye on. And of course, if you are looking at any particular time frames as well, let me know. Predominantly, I'm going to focus more on the full hour and the daily chart, but if you want me to drop lower, let me know. So first things first, as always, the DXY. So with the dollar, it's been interesting. We've tapped into a very bullish area on the weekly chart, and that has made me a bit more hesitant to look to sell the dollar. As you can see, if we look to the left, we had a brief consolidation here on the weekly chart. And what happened, we had a really big bullish candle, and that did start a really strong move to the upside. Now price has tapped into that same area again, so I don't necessarily want to be shorting directly into that. But if we were to pull back, maybe closer to this kind of area here, where we did have a slight pullback, put that lower high in a couple of weeks back, and then we had that drop. If we pull back into this territory over here, naturally, that would be a nice place to sell. Maybe not necessarily to try and capitalize on a huge move down, but probably at least a bit of a reaction, and that could provide some nice short opportunities. So dropping to the full hour chart, if I kind of just refine that area to basically where the move started, which was basically this consolidation here, lovely consolidation, big drop to the downside. If we can get back to 103.8, 104 kind of area, even 104.2, I'll be happy to potentially look to sell the dollar from there. Now, I'm not looking for anything special. Like I said, I'm not looking for a full continuation, back into prior lows. I'll probably be a lot more conservative because we are coming to an area where potentially price might find support here to reverse completely. That is a possible move. I'm not too sure if I'm favoring that move just yet, but that is on the cards. So I'm being a bit more cautious if I do get short on the dollar. And it's just going to be something maybe where I target a prior low somewhere, or maybe some support on the left. It depends on the setup itself. But I probably wouldn't be looking to target or at least hold full position back to the low, or if I'm buying euro, back to the high, just because it is a bit more of an aggressive position. But I still like dollar shorts. That's where we got all that bearish pressure from. So if we can revisit that, that would be nice. Looks like dollar's quite bullish at the moment. Very strong close a couple of hours ago. Looks like momentum is starting to pick up again. If I head over to Euro USD, which is pretty much doing the exact opposite as well. So as we can see, we've had the very strong move to the upside. If I go to the weekly chart, where have we come into? Well, we've come back into this area here. Brief range on the weekly, massive move to the downside. Last week's candle was looking very bullish at one point. Couldn't sustain price then, pulled all the way back. Looks like just more than 50% there. So again, a bit of a red flag there. And if price was going to continue and just rip past the high here, we probably wouldn't have closed so aggressively with that wick. We probably would have filled the wick a little bit greater. Not to say we can't still push to the upside, we can, but we've already got a sign that says, okay, market's struggling. So if you are looking to buy Euro USD, you do want price to pull back a lot deeper. So we're further away from this area, so we're not buying straight into it. and maybe you don't want to be so aggressive with your buys in terms of your targets because we could roll over. But as I mentioned yesterday, similar to the dollar opportunity which we looked at, I like this range here. Really nice move to the upside. I like Euro USD because it's still fairly corrective. We haven't just dropped very aggressively like we did with Pound USD, which we'll get into on a second. Euro USD is a bit more corrective or slower. So that's a key sign for Euro, which I do like about it. And if I can see some sufficient rejection here, good confirmations, I would like to try and take some longs there for Euro. Again, like I said, not looking to target back at the high. I may leave positions to run to get there, but I probably would take most of my profit before that. Again, in terms of specific targets, I probably calculate that until when I actually get the position. But more or less, probably looking at the highs here on the left as a target, 1.095, and then maybe leaving some positions to run to 1.108. In terms of areas of interest, 1.084, 1.085 looks really good down there. So that's kind of where I'm waiting for price to get to. Not quite there yet, so still looking for a little bit more retracement there for Euro USD. In terms of Pound USD, so as I've said with this one, we were very, very aggressive. Price dropped to the downside really heavily, so we kind of faked the upside first and then came crashing down there. So with Pound USD, I'm still looking at a bit of a correction with this one for another drop to the downside. Now we are approaching 1.27. Have we hit it? Actually, we have. Wow, that was a very bearish move yesterday. I've already hit 1.27, so there could be some buys from here to try and take Pound USD higher. I'll be a bit skeptical because of the aggressive nature of the move, the way that we've kind of consolidated, then manipulated to the upside just to come back down. I would be looking for price to probably return here and perhaps continue selling off there. So that's kind of what I'll be wary of there for Pound USD, but there could be some nice buys to take advantage of that retracement back up for potentially some sales further down. Just because it's retracement doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good opportunity. It's just that I'm not necessarily expecting this to continue all the way back to highs anymore. More so just a correction for us to potentially continue selling off. So Pound USD to me looks really, really bearish. I'm pretty bearish in this one, looking to find some opportunity to short it, but I need some pullbacks. At the start of the week, I was looking to see if price can push back into the high, which is up there at 1.3, but unfortunately, we've just been so bearish. It's only Tuesday. We've just been so bearish and the markets kept falling, so unfortunately, no opportunity there for us to take a short, but pull back to something like this, 1.29, that would be sufficient, and I'll be happy to take some sales from there. But first thing first, we need a pullback. It's coming to a nice area, which we could see that happen. So potentially there might be some buys there for pound, but I'm more interested in the sells. Dollar CAD, I was keeping a close eye on this one. Debating about taking some shorts. I wasn't really too happy with the price action, to be honest, which is why I stayed out of the market. We did come back to retest that price support turn resistance here, so that did act as resistance so far. But again, like I said, I wasn't really too happy with how price closed. Didn't really see any confident candles here. Then we did get some momentum here, but by the time that candle's closed, my risk reward is definitely skewed as well. So if I was to take an entry there, stops above the high, I'm looking at less than a 1-to-1 back into the low. So that's not really doing any good for me. If I can get a solid candle closure and still get a decent risk reward, at least 1 to 2, I'll be happy with. Then fair enough, I probably would take the position. But the risk ain't worth the reward there for dollar CAD. As if we find support there, turn against me, I'm not even looking at a 1-to-1. So for dollar CAD, I'm still pretty bearish as long as we can hold that zone. I like the fact that we are rejecting, we're firing some wicks, so that's a good sign. If dollar CAD would be kind enough to come back into resistance, perhaps reject it again, maybe a nice double top, there could be some more entries potentially later in the week to look out for. The market is still very consistent with these lower highs. I'm still pretty bearish on dollar CAD as a whole. If I'm looking at the higher time frames where we'll come into, if we go to the weekly chart really quickly, scale out, look at the bigger picture. You can see if we look to the left, we've got major resistance once, twice, and a third time. And price is rejecting that again. And previously, we've had some really, really big bearish moves from that particular level. So expecting a bit of downside for dollar CAD makes a load of sense. There's a big level below us here, just below 1.4. Could see price come back and retest that again. So I do think dollar CAD's got room to the downside still. That's the level that I'm expecting price to get to. But in terms of entries, I do want to see us come back into resistance again. Then perhaps we could find some entries to take price back down. So that would be the plan there for dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, excuse me, in terms of Aussie dollar, yeah, Aussie dollar, I'm still expecting a bit of a pullback for this one, especially after the move last week. Really bearish move, taking out the lows there on the left. So I do think Aussie dollar can still retrace. Again, in terms of shorting Aussie dollar, I do want it to see a lot more upside before I even consider that. This is kind of where we had that brief kind of pause in the market. It's not really a range brief pause. Of course, that's when we had a lot of news and then price eventually picked its direction. Lovely move to the downside there. And if price can come back, retest that zone, then I would expect price to continue further. But at the moment, this is bullish territory. You can see every time price does kind of take out a low, we spike down and price recovers. So I'm kind of expecting something similar to happen right now. Aussie dollar may be long-term bearish and still got more room to the downside. I'm pointing out the COVID lows here yesterday. That could be where the market is gradually working its way towards. But if you're looking to sell Aussie dollar, now's not the best time. You want price to retrace and see some healthy retracement before getting involved. Market's still a little bit stretched right now. There might be some smaller intraday opportunities, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for a swing position, which is what I'm referring to, probably not the best time to be looking to sell. You might catch a sell for the day, something like that, which could be a nice trade, but you're not looking to hold that for potentially a few days or a week. Need a much bigger retracement for that, so that's kind of what I'm looking at for for Aussie dollar. In terms of NZD USD, this one again still coming into support. Again, expecting a bit of retracement at some point. If I scale to the weekly chart, you've got support to our left, which I do think price is likely to take out, to be honest. But a very bearish close last week, so I wouldn't be surprised if momentum still can continue. But if we look to the left, we are still trading in support. So naturally, not the best time to be looking to sell NZD USD anyway. Even if you do have a bearish bias, you do want to see a bit of a pullback. I did mention a retest of this area here yesterday, which I think we just missed out on. Yeah, we spiked to the upside, just missed out on that. Preferably, I'll like price to pull back even greater, to be honest, 0.57 at least, before looking for a short. If I was to get the fib from the high to the low out, yeah, so that kind of would be my preferred zone. This is nice, but just not a big enough retracement for my liking. I like price to pull back a lot more than that. Something like that would be nice. So yeah, NZD/USD, again, the overall market still looks pretty bearish to me, but this is now back in bullish territory and we can definitely see some upside. Price has found it very, very difficult to try and break through this level. So if anything, if you're looking for buys, it makes sense as well. I would say you would want price to come back down again before looking to buy though. Back into support, maybe take out the lows a little bit. That could be a nice buy to take. If you're looking to sell, then of course you want price to push up first. I would say at least 0.57 before I'd be looking to try and take some shorts. But even then, not being too aggressive with that position. But yeah, NZD/USD is still very, very sideways. So you're kind of looking to buy low, sell high. There's not a lot of trending nature to this market. We are still very sideways. And in terms of gold, gold. So gold did see a bit more downside. I was talking about some retracement with this one. Didn't quite see that come into fruition. I was looking at the retest of the range here. 30.90, 30.80 roughly as a nice zone for a short. Yeah, didn't see that happen. Price just consolidated and dropped to the downside. I still think that's a nice place for a short. So if price decides to get there, I think that's still a really good place to short the market. If the market does stay very bearish and we don't see much bullish momentum coming in, then looks like this range might hold there at 30.20. And that could probably give you a nice push back into the low. So if you could spike higher one more time, that could be a nice trade potentially this afternoon. And that could be a really nice short there to look at. So yeah, gold still looks pretty bearish to me. There is a big level on our left, which I'm looking for price to come and test. Have we tested it? More or less. We probably missed it by the smallest margin, but more or less in that level. So yeah, as price does come into this area, this is now bullish territory, and we did consolidate here and did see a lot of momentum. So as we get into this area, I do expect price to probably slow down, become a bit more corrective. It might give us a bit of a push to the upside. That's kind of what I'm looking for gold. And there might be some nice swing opportunities here as well. If gold really starts to find support, rejection, there might be a nice buy. I'll probably wait for a deeper test of that zone first. We've kind of just about tested it, arguably. So I need price to be a little bit more confident with that test, reject it a little bit more, provide some more wicks, show me that momentum is slowing down and we're about to turn. Then I can start talking about some longs for gold. But right now, we're still seeing heavy bearish candles here in the 4-hour chart. And I've got a feeling we'll probably see another push back into the low. So yeah, gold still looking bearish to me. And finally, silver. Silver has a bit of a bullish move, hadn't we? Okay, yeah, we're a little bit bullish, but we haven't done much since then. So silver, yeah, silver's still trading at support. I was speaking about price, potentially seeing some upside. We already tapped into that area there as well. So it's interesting for silver. We had a really exceptionally bearish candle in the week last week, and now we pull back into that same zone. Yeah, I mean, really with silver, I'll probably just let price breathe a little bit. You know, are we still seeing momentum in the market? Are we still going to crash through support, or are we starting to respect it? I think it's too early to say. We've had one rejection of that level. Hasn't really amounted to much. I wouldn't be surprised if we roll back over. Maybe if we come back down again and start rejecting it well, that could be a nice buy actually, because the market is still pretty stretched. Now we're hitting some big levels of support. Naturally could see price push up. But again, I'll wait for more confirmations to really confirm that. And as for sells, I'll probably wait for price to push back up one more time into 31. Potentially take out that wick high there as well. Might be some nice intraday shorts there. But at the moment, silver's in the middle of nowhere. So it's either we push back to resistance and try and look for a lower high for a sell, or we push back into support and potentially look for a bit of a double bottom there. But yeah, especially when we've had all that momentum, sometimes it's best to kind of let the market breathe a little bit, settle, create support, create resistance, bit of market structure again, and then start to look to trade. But yeah, silver kind of just stuck between a rock and a hard place, just waiting for more information before I kind of set a new bias. Whether I'm expecting price to continue falling or recover quickly, I'm not too sure yet with my long-term bias. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the USD markets. What's up, Yusuf? Hope you're doing good. The day's just started, but I appreciate it. Hope you're well. Amir, I'm missing trades on the funded. Please support. Contact support. You can do that on the Discord, or you can go into the Elevating Traders website and contact support through there. So yeah, contact support, and you should be provided with assistance, because I can't really do much right now. But if you drop me a message on the Discord after, I'll assist you. Brian, currently short on dollar CAD from 1.42896. Nice. I was lining up dollar CAD shorts. The risk reward wasn't quite well, but you probably got a better entry there. But yeah, dollar CAD, as long as it can hold that level, I do think downside looks good. Yusuf, please read these shorts in dollar yen. Okay, I'll take a look at dollar yen. What's up, Sultan? Good morning. Hope you're well. Dark Sean, what is up? Yesterday now has closed the gap with another gap. Closed the gap with another gap. That's funny. Took advantage of that and gonna sell to fill the new gap and got another 10% profit, 20% profit for yesterday. Nice. Definitely crushing Nas at the moment, Dark Sean. Dammy, no, I have not checked out pound CAD. I will check out pound CAD in a second. I'll just go through dollar CAD quickly, and then I'll go take a look at dollar yen for Yusuf, and I'll go through pound CAD, and I'll go through the indices as well. So dollar CAD, yeah. So dollar CAD, I was debating looking to sell this one this morning, but the entry didn't occur till much later. for me. And if I entered here, I would have a stop loss above there, targets there. That's not really looking that great. I think the risk reward was like a 0.7, 1 to 0.7, which is something I wouldn't really look to take. But I said if dollar CAD does get back into resistance, I will then see if I can find some better entries for better stop loss and hopefully a better reward in that position as well. But so far, dollar CAD resistance is holding pretty well. We can see really powerful support on our left, held price really well. We had a strong break of that since, and now price is respecting it. Brian, you said you got a short entry from 1.42896. 1.42896. Okay, so right at the top of that wick there, more or less. So yeah, I mean, you're sitting in a really nice place there. What's the plan with that position? Are you looking to hold it back to lows, or are you really taking profits, or what's the plan? But in terms of the position, you're really in a healthy place right at the top of that resistance level. So it kind of gives yourself a lot of room to work with. I'd imagine probably your targets are more or less down 1.405 maybe, back at the swing low. But yeah, I would imagine you've probably gone to break even and manage that position. But yeah, I mean, as long as price holds that resistance, I do expect to see price continue to fall. So I'm definitely with the same kind of bias as you, I would guess. In terms of dollar yen, Yusuf, you talking about some shorts, did you? Shorts on dollar yen on the 15-minute, 147.54. Okay, let's have a look. $147.54. Okay, it's more or less around there. 147.54. Yeah, okay. So yeah, with pound dollar yen, I was about to say pound yen. So what are you looking for? You're looking for a swing just back into support, so back into the lows here. Because we've of course got the equal highs price here, failing to break resistance. We push the downside, create a low, then we create a new lower high, and then we create a new lower low. So I suppose you're looking for another lower high for a push back down. Price looks like it's coming back into some support on the left there, turn of resistance. So it's not a bad place for a short. Overall, the market is quite corrective, so I'm not expecting too much from dollar yen. I actually do think we might still see some more upside in terms of retracement, because I'm looking on the higher time frames, and price has had a pretty big move to the downside here. And we've overall been very corrective on the way down as well. It's not like we're in a very healthy bearish trend. The market's still pretty corrective. Ever since these lows got taken out, price has been looking pretty bullish. A lot of wicks to the downside. Looks like we're kind of reversing back up again. And on the 4-hour chart, looks like we're coming back into support. So I'm not so confident with the shorts there, Yusuf, on the 15-minute chart. There is a possibility we sell, but based on how everything is looking, I probably would guess that dollar yen still got a bit more upside in the tank. Early in the week, I was talking about dollar yen coming back into this area. 149 as a nice place for a short. I think if we could have that exact same price action on the 15-minute chart, so this kind of consolidation, breakout, lower high, lower low, if we could see this exact same price action just over there, that would be a lot better in terms of a position, because at least the market's kind of far away from the low. We're testing a much bigger area of supply where we did see momentum come from anyway, so that kind of adds confidence to the trade. And then we're probably not directly trading to support in the higher time frame as well. So there is a possibility a lower high does form here, but because of what I'm seeing on the higher time frames and based on how structure is forming as well, I wouldn't be so confident about that position. Now, every trade is probability. There will be some positions where there's a lot of confluences for you and that trade potentially could fail. And there'll be trades where you get some red flags, but it potentially works. But then again, as a trader, you just focus on taking the best trades possible, knowing that any trade potentially could fail, which is why you manage your risk, of course. So yeah, I like the structure. It does look nice. Potentially a lower high could form here for a push into support, but based on how we're trading, I'm not the biggest fan. since if you're targeting the support down there, okay, if you're looking at the lows here, that's a bit more reasonable. You're not looking for too much. You might get that move there. But yeah, based on those reasons I just explained, I probably would avoid taking that position. I just want price to be a little bit higher up. There's some confluence up there, which would be a nice addition to the trade. Probably won't be testing resistance here, which is going to be acting as support. And especially you can see if that last 4-hour candle close, nice wick into the zone, pull back up. You know, we're seeing price respect support there. So that's a bit of a red flag too. So yeah, again, it's a nice setup on the 15, but based on what I'm seeing on the higher time frames, I'm seeing some red flags, which I do think we'll probably see a push to the upside at some point. Again, it doesn't mean that we have to see it now. We could see the move happen into support and then potentially see the move. So, you know, potentially could still take advantage of that. But I'll probably wait for some really strong rejection at that area. So wicks, bearish engulfing candles, which we aren't quite seeing yet. But yeah, if it was me, I'll just wait to see if we can get up there before taking any shorts. Okay, so okay, I'll go through some of the I'll go through pound CAD first, and I'll go through some of the indices together. DAX on 1 minute. Wow. Okay, we'll take a look at that as well. Okay, so pound CAD. Yeah, this one was looking pretty bearish last time I checked. Yeah, strong move to the downside yesterday. So pound CAD's now coming into support. So now it's going to be interesting with pound CAD. Is this price coming back to retest support, or are we coming straight to break through and do kind of what pound CAD, not pound CAD, sorry, what pound USD did? Because this is the weekly chart for pound CAD. You can see we had a big consolidation on the left here. Price, of course, has broken that to the upside. Is this price breaking back underneath this? Similar to what happened with pound USD, but on the 4-hour time frame. So I drop to the 4-hour for this one. So you got your consolidation, big break to the upside, then we came crashing back down. Because pound CAD and pound USD, they do kind of move very, very similar. Their price action is pretty similar. Since pound USD's made a similar move like that, I wonder, is pound CAD going to join the party as well and continue bleeding? At the moment, I'll probably just keep a close eye to see how we respect that support level. So if I kind of just draw it in like such. So yeah, that's more or less the level. So if we could see some really strong rejection here, there could be some nice buys to take for pound CAD, even if it's just to come back and retest some structure here. There could be some nice buys. If we do come crashing back down, then I'm looking at a similar pattern to what we had with pound USD, which is impulse up, impulse down, treating this as a fake out, and then the bigger move now becomes potentially a big sell. You know, we're back below resistance again. That was price kind of giving us a bit of a top to the trend potentially, and we now might reverse. So I'll keep an eye on pound CAD. There's a lot of downside if this does want to sell off. You know, I've been talking about pound CAD potentially reversing soon. We've taken out some major highs on the left. We've been bullish pretty much since the low of September 2022. The market's been in a consistent uptrend. So I wonder, is this time to put a bit of a top to the trend? Potentially. If we keep dropping hard and break back underneath that level, then I would anticipate it to be. And there'll be a lot of room for us to sell into, at least to push back into support down here. And that's kind of what we'll be working with, really. So yeah, I would keep a close eye probably on the 4-hour chart, see how we respect the current level of support we're trading in right now. At the moment, not much rejection, but that could change very quickly. So I'll keep an eye on that. If we keep bleeding through, then yeah, the bias is going to start changing to bearish, and I'll be looking for a retest. But it's very, very important in terms of what we do here. We don't really have the answer just yet. But yeah, as support right now, could be some nice buys. Keep an eye on it. If we keep falling, like I said, there might be some sells to take advantage of. What's up, CS Integrated? Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Julius? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. No problem, man. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel, of course, and make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But yeah, really appreciate that, guys. If you have dropped a like, it does really help out the stream. Okay, so let's get on to NAS 100. So wow, very impulsive move there. I haven't looked at the indices since stream yesterday. I was looking a lot at the yen pairs, which I'll get into in a moment. But yeah, we did fill the gap. I said yesterday that we might fill the gap by Friday, but we actually filled the gap before before I streamed. Well before that. The gap was filled during this candle, so that was the same day actually. So very aggressive move there, but again, it kind of makes sense for the gap to fill there. Again, not necessarily fill directly on Monday. That would be difficult to predict, but fill by Friday, because again, the market had a pretty big gap, which it's been a while since we had a gap that big there on NAS, just kind of eyeballing it a little bit, and just from memory as well. It's been a while since we've had a gap that big. And then number two, price came back into some really big levels of support. And we did that for NAS, we did that for S&P, we did that for US 30, really, really big levels of support prior swing highs back in 2021. We've kind of come back to retest that. And of course, the market is heavily stretched after the fall we had last week as well. So naturally expecting buyers to be jumping into the market, perhaps sellers taking profit. That probably gives us a bit of a snap to the upside. Now the question is, how big of a snap? Is this price potentially putting a low in to keep pushing higher, or are we just seeing a minor retracement for price to keep falling? That is, of course, the question. Right now, I don't really have that much information. We've, of course, had this really bearish drop. Prices recovered most of that with that wick, but we're failing to see momentum sustain. Looking on the hourly chart, we're still pretty corrective as well. So there's not a lot of information here to work with really with NAS, apart from support is holding on the daily chart. So if I go back to the daily quickly, of course, you've got the prior high there. It's holding as support. So that's the biggest takeaway from a swing point of view. I can look to see from this one. So I would suggest the momentum is still with the bears here. So looking at the hourly chart, I probably would guess that eventually we do put a bit of a high in, and we do probably give a bit of a move to the downside again. And targets, it depends what you're looking at, but I would probably expect us to come back and test that daily support level again. So that could make up for a nice target. In terms of where and when, I just need some more candlesticks, a bit more information before I start calling some shorts. I think the market is still on the lower time frame, still chugging away to the upside. So sells are not looking good just yet, but I would expect a lower high to print soon. So yeah, still pretty bearish on NAS. I can see we're expecting some big support in the higher time frames. Perhaps we can turn around from here, but I need to see a bit more candlesticks, a bit more information before I do kind of set a bias with this one. In terms of the S&P, and then I'll take a look at the DAX. So yeah, S&P, same situation, I believe. It's the weekly chart. So yeah, we've got the retest of the prior high here. So just about respected that support there. Nice reaction to the upside. Gap went and filled there as well. But again, nothing too crazy with this one. Nice momentum, yes, on the bounce. So again, we might see a bit more upside, but I do think eventually we will put a high in and come back down. Maybe perhaps this area. Again, just need more information, more candlesticks to print before I can be a bit more specific about the areas which I'm expecting to hold and what I'm expecting price to do next. Just because there's so much momentum in the market, I think naturally we'll have a pullback anyway. But I'm not seeing any convincing momentum that tells me that price is about to turn, as in reverse. Right now, this still looks really corrective, so I do think we'll eventually roll back over. And perhaps 53.60 could be an interesting area to keep an eye on. But yeah, S&P is still looking pretty bearish to me. Nice rejection of that level. I think there's a good chance we come back to revisit it, which could be some nice opportunities for a long. But yeah, the market for S&P is still pretty bearish. We're probably in pullback mode at the moment, but I'm not looking for reversals just yet. Okay, so I'll take a look at the DAX. G-Charts, yes, Euro NZD we'll have a look at as well. Yusuf, no problem. I mapped out my support resistance level on the high time frame, but totally missed the support level you mentioned. Okay, no problem. Happy to, I mean, again, especially as a newer person to trade, it's going to take a while to gain experience and learn the craft. You'll be making mistakes along the way, which is why journaling is such a good way to kind of help smooth your journey and speed it along as well. Because if you can take screenshots of before and after you take positions, you know, you get a nice healthy collection of data of your trades, and you can look back and see, okay, maybe I missed this, or maybe I didn't do this correctly, or whatever it is, and that will help speed your journey along. Otherwise, you should be making you may be making the same mistake every so often, and it will keep setting you back. But yeah, I just didn't like that 4 hour level, the way price respected it. Okay, in terms of the DAX, and then I'll have a look at USD, was it? Yes, it was, and then I'll go through some of the M pairs. So the DAX, yeah, heavy bearish pressure. But this one, big wick to the downside as well, tapping into numerous areas here on the left. Last week I was talking about potentially pull back into this zone. We actually saw that by the end of the week there, really aggressive momentum. So with the DAX now, I would still say things look pretty bearish, but I would look for a much bigger retracement before looking to sell. Because the way I'm viewing the DAX right now is that we've had all this bearish pressure, and I'm not really seeing any signs of reversal just yet. And normally for reversal, you want to see a strong push down, strong push back up again. That's typically what how reversals look on indices. We kind of have very sharp recoveries, or we might kind of have failed attempts to go lower. So you might roll over, try a push down, it fails and comes right back up. That's a sign that the market is starting to get ready to reverse as well. But right now, all I'm seeing is a few wicks to the upside, a lot of corrective behavior. So you might keep pushing to the upside a little bit further, but I do expect us to eventually drop pretty hard. And I would like to see a much bigger pullback for the DAX, because we've had such a big move. So a bigger pullback is a must. If I get the fib out from that last drop there, yeah, if we can get to that roughly 0.5, 0.618 kind of area, sort of lines up with these wicks there, that would be nice. That would be a nice place for a short. But yeah, still quite far away from that. We already spiked into 50 there and pulled back all the way. So yeah, DAX to me still looks pretty bearish on the higher time frames. If I drop to the 1 minute chart for you, Anton, what's the 1 minute giving us? Okay, 1 minute looks very flat right now. Looks like it's eventually getting ready for a move to the upside. I probably would want to see another spike lower, and then try and pick up some longs from there. And generally got some support here on the left. That's not a bad place for a buy. Even if it is just for potentially another lower high, you can always take profit and that'll be a decent trade, but something like that does look likely at some point. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll be looking at on the 1 minute chart. But overall, still looking very bearish to me. Okay, so I'll go through Euro NZD, then I'll go through some of the yen pairs. So Euro NZD, again, this one really bullish the past week. Have we taken out the wick high here? No, not quite. We probably will, you know. That's the spike from we had COVID. I think we'll probably like to take out that wick high. I do think we'll probably have a bit of a correction first, but yeah, I think that wick is probably likely to go. Anyway, drop into the daily chart. It would be nice to see a pullback back into this kind of area here for a long, but we're very far away, and I'm not too sure price will see that big of a move. There is this brief pause. There's the brief pause over here. I think that would be a nice place for a pullback into if I drop to lower time frames. Yeah, I mean, everything is still pretty bullish. We're seeing some momentum back down, but nothing too aggressive. So I think something like this for USD could look good. Potentially another bounce to the upside back to highs. Clearly resistance held there very well once, twice, and a third time. So resistance has proven well there. But as we start to come back into these areas where we can probably see some bullish pressure come back in, the market is still very much in a confident uptrend. Yeah, I think buyers will look to step back in and take price higher. So yeah, Euro NZD is coming back to some big levels. I think we've got the big psychological level of 2 just above us there. That could be what is drawing price. And potentially, once price gets there, we might see some bigger players looking to close positions, maybe open new positions in terms of shorts, and that could potentially drive price lower. But at the moment, we do have that big wick just above us. I've got a feeling that price is likely to take that out. There'll be a lot of liquidity just above that, so that's probably where we're headed. But of course, in terms of a decent buy, you do want price to retrace a little bit first. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Euro NZD. In terms of the yen pairs, so there's 2 yen pairs which I'm looking at quite a lot, CHF JPY and Euro Yen. CHF JPY did have a pretty big push to the upside yesterday. So I was looking to get short this one if I see a decent rejection, and we're sort of seeing that now. I wanted price to kind of close below the level here. If I actually just clean this chart actually. So I wanted the price to close below the level there, but it never gave me that close. I was eyeing up this candle this morning actually. If this candle closed a bit more convincingly, I would have taken the trade, but by the time the candle closed, I actually pulled back above the level there and sat above it there. So I'm kind of waiting for the next 4-hour candle, just because now this resistance here is going to be, of course, turn support. And that, of course, could take price to the upside, which is something I'm not interested in. So if the next 4-hour candle can definitely pick up the pace a little bit, close a lot stronger to the downside, then that will convince me to enter the trade. I'll probably have a bigger stop loss than originally wanted, but at least I can be a bit more confident that my entry is in my favor and not directly into some support. But yesterday we had a big bullish candle. You can see yesterday's candle, big push to the upside. But what I'm looking at, if I go to the weekly chart, is potentially another lower high forming. We've got this trend line here, which I said price might come back and retest. Looks like we finally got that move now. First, second, third, potentially fourth. And of course, we've got some resistance on our left here, which price looks to be holding as well. So there's a nice kind of crossroad here of confluences, which the market is respecting right now. And I'm looking to see if we can hold this level and sell off. You can see on the weekly chart, the past three weekly candles provide a lot of wicks to the upside. One over there, second over there, third there as well. I'm looking to see if this could be a fourth, if we can pull back and respect that resistance there as well. So I'm looking for this week's candle to leave a bit of a wick to the upside and potentially flip bearish, or just pull back a lot more by the end of the week, that is. But yeah, I'm looking at this potentially being a top here for the next wave. So if you drop to the daily chart, see it a little bit better. So you got one over there, second over there, you got third over there, and potentially now a fourth is printed. Now potentially price might see it swing, back into support down there. So I'm keeping a very close eye on CHF JPY. It's the pair at the top of my watch list, along with Euro Yen, that is. For a sell, but I'll probably say CHF JPY is a little bit better. It's a bit cleaner, especially because we just had a push to the upside, creating new highs. Now I can get my stop loss above that, above those highs as well, because there would have been some, earlier short positions which would have had a lot of stops above the levels here. They will be taking out their trades now, so hopefully momentum picks up. I'll find a trade, an entry maybe similar to this, stops above the level there, targets back to support down there. Hopefully get at least a 1 to 2. That says 2.79, but of course that's just a rough estimate of where the entry could be. Might be a little bit better, might be a little bit worse, but at least a 1 to 2 in the low, that'll be happy. And then I'll leave positions to run, because I'm still looking at this as a really big head and shoulder pattern on the weekly chart. So you've got your left over there, head, and then your right shoulder kind of there-ish. And that's of course your neckline. So if that can break, I do think price is likely to drop pretty hard for Swiss yen, potentially even back into this area. I'm not so sure if I'll hold it that far, but it's definitely a position which I do think can run, because I'm looking at this being a bit of a top to the bullish trend a little bit. So that's why I'm quite excited about Swiss yen. It's got a lot of downside potential. But yeah, just waiting for a more confident bearish close really before I do take any positions here. I was eyeing up that 4-hour candle, just about pull back before it closed, so that kept me at the position. But the next candle closes below, I'll be in the trade. And like I said, Euro yen, another one I'm keeping a very close eye on as well. I say that because, again, you can see on the weekly chart, we've got a lot of resistance on our left here as price is struggling to break through this level. What's that, 164? You can see numerous wicks to the upside there, 1, 2, 3. Really exaggerated wicks to the upside. Overall resistance here is holding pretty well. And I'm just looking for us to kind of turn around and respect support down here. Out of the yen pairs, only Swiss yen and Euro yen haven't seen dramatic sells. And that's just because Euro and CHF have been strong. I do think they'll lose their strength a little bit. And that would be my invitation to take some shorts. So again, Euro yen, we have come back into resistance. It's just been a little bit messy, which is why I didn't like the position. And I was originally looking for the retest of this level, which we broke above yesterday. So I'm looking to see if we can get a more convincing close, potentially even on the 8-hour chart. And then I might enter on this candle here when that closes, which is in 3 hours and 6 minutes. If it's a decent close, might enter there with stop loss above the high there and targets there. But because CHF JPY might give me the signal at the same time, I don't want to get into 2 yen pairs with the exact same trade because basically I'm doubling the risk pretty much. So I might as well just bet on one and just see that trade through. If CHF JPY looks the better one, which I think it would be, I'll probably just take that one and just keep an eye on Euro yen, but I probably won't take the position because there's no point. They'll probably both work or both fail. And just because Euro yen is just a little bit more messy, that's why I'm gravitating towards Swiss a little bit more. But yeah, momentum's starting to pick up. I do think a lower high is forming and we're going to see a nice little drop here. So that's kind of what I'm banking on for Euro yen. But Swiss is just looking a little bit cleaner. So I think I'll go with this one. But we'll wait and see. And of course, if Swiss yen isn't playing ball, then I'll go with Euro yen. But yeah, looking for a big drop there for Euro yen and Swiss yen. I'm keeping an eye on the yen basket because that is a bit of an awkward position right now as well. So if I do take a look at the yen basket right now, overall the market is still very bullish, and I do think we're just working away to take out the wick high there on the left at 73.59. However, it's just that we're stuck at some resistance on the left here. I do think price is likely to break through, but we've had 2 attempts trying to break through, which is today, yesterday's candle, and that was Friday's candle. Yeah, Friday's candle. So we had 2 attempts trying to break through, both failed miserably, leaving big wicks to the upside. So yen is definitely trying to see some strength, but it's getting stuck around 7k here. If we can clear that level, then I think we'll have a much better chance of reaching the high there. So I'm still pretty bullish, but we are trading resistance, so being a bit cautious of that. But I do think the yen is going to see some upside. Lewis, yes, I can take a look at CAD yen since I'm on the topic of yen pairs as well. So yeah, CAD yen is another interesting one. Still pretty bearish in CAD yen, and long term for CAD yen, I am still looking at a much bigger push back into this kind of area, 199. I do think support's going to break, but the only reason why I'm not looking at CAD yen as much is because we've come back into some support on the left here. So it's a little bit more of a tricky short trade to take in terms of a swing because we're just bouncing from support, whereas Swiss and Euro yen are kind of towards major resistance, which is why I like them a little bit more. But in terms of a more intraday outlook, I think CAD yen has pulled back into a really nice place, back into this kind of area here. Drop to the hourly chart actually, you can see price is still forming major lower highs. You've got one over there, lovely drop, second over there, lovely drop, potentially a third there with the double top. Potentially might see a nice drop there to the downside. So yeah, the way I see it, CAD yen is still looking pretty bearish to me. We've got a load of support here in the daily chart, which is now of course turned into resistance. As long as we can respect this kind of area here, support resistance, then I do see price rolling over. And of course, continue with the lower highs there too. So I think CAD-Gen's in a nice place. Like I said, the only reason I don't like it is because we're close to support. But in terms of the positioning of the lower time frames, it looks pretty good. And if you can get a swing back into support there, you're looking at a pretty decent trade. So yeah, CAD-Gen, not a bad position at all. If yen's going to be strong, then of course, probably going to give you a successful trade there with CAD. Yeah, I just don't like the support we've come into. But you have pulled back into some nice resistance. So I think if you're shorting this on like 30 or 50 minute time frame, you could catch a really nice swing there, I think. But yeah, CAD-Gen I'm still pretty bearish on as well. Most yen pairs I'm still bearish on, apart from like Aussie yen and New Zealand yen. And that's simply because these guys have just hit my targets of where I'm expecting them to get to on the higher time frames. I've been talking about Aussie potentially coming back to the low here. We've done that. New Zealand yen coming back into a similar low. We've done that as well, which is this support here. We've done that too. So now I'm kind of just backing away from both of them and perhaps looking at some pullbacks. Because overall, these are some really big, powerful levels of support. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic and to see what happens there. Because if price does respect support there, we could have a really big rally. But yen's going to be the most important thing to look at. I think naturally Aussie and NZD will gain some strength at some point, but the overall still very, very bearish. So for this one, I'll probably wait for us to pull back into this kind of area before looking to do anything. Aussie yen, similar territory as well. I'll wait for them to pull back into this kind of area here before looking to short. I know on the lower time frames, they might kind of see some downside from here, but more or less, it's just a very awkward position for a sell in general. But yeah, in terms of the yen pairs, if you take a look at pound yen, again, this one I'm not so interested in at all because the way I see it, price is already taking out some major support. So as we can see here, we're taking out these lows here as well. I do think price can continue to fall. I am looking for price to get back to the wick low here, but it's just not a good short opportunity for me anymore. At least compared with Euro yen or Swiss yen, because they're a lot higher up. Pound yen, really big move. Did miss out on that last week, a little bit gutted on that one. But if I can catch Euro yen or Swiss yen, then I'm not too annoyed at that, to be honest. But I do think price is working its way down there. So my plan is just wait for the next best pullback to take a trade, because there's still a lot of pips to catch here for pound yen. We've still got about 730, 50 pips there to the downside. So the way I see it, there's still a long way to go. But it's just not the best time to be looking to sell. As I've just mentioned, price is trading in support right now. So yesterday I did mention that we might pull back into this area as a nice place to short, or we might pull back into this area as a nice place to short. Both look really, really good. It's just first things first, we need price to actually get there before we can discuss some sells. It looks pretty bearish at the moment. Looks like we're seeing some bearish momentum with the yen pairs at the moment, but it's just not a trade for me to take. I think if you're looking at intraday plays, looking to trade pound yen for a session or two, then you might find some nice shorts here. But from a swing perspective, now's not the best time to be looking to hold on to positions, because why would you be looking to try and hold on to positions at major support? Doesn't make any sense. So I'll wait for a much bigger pullback there for pound yen as well. But those are the setups I'm interested in. But yeah, I'll leave that alone. And I think that is it for the yen pairs. So Euro yen, Swiss yen, I'll keep an eye on them. Potentially could get some trades this afternoon, so I'll let you guys know. If I see a solid close there on the 8 hour for Euro, I'll probably look to get onto the position there. Entries there, stops above the high and then a short. If Swiss yen looks better, which I think it probably will, then I'll just take the shorts on this one. But I'll need a candle to close back below that high there just to confirm that support is broken, and we're closing below. So those are the two I'm most focused on right now. In terms of some of the CHF pairs, I think they're a little bit interesting as well. just because I'm naturally expecting them to pull back. If we take a look at Aussie CHF down here, we're starting to see some support form. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see prices spike through the wick here. I do think price is naturally going to pull back up at some point. And as we spoke about yesterday, that every time price does see new all-time lows here for Aussie Swiss, price does have some really powerful moves to the upside every time we do spike down, as we can see. So I think naturally we'll see price do the same thing at some point as well. Of course, there's a lot of momentum, so taking the buy opportunity is very aggressive, 100%. There's a lot of momentum in the market right now. So if we can start to form some double bottoms, some really strong rejections, then the opportunity could look a lot better. I think we're still firing wicks here to the upside, so it's still not looking great. But if price was to push back down, maybe respect support there, put some wicks through that zone, it might be a nice buy. The thing is as well that we're all-time lows, there's no support to look at. You can't look left and try and gauge the market of where can we buy it. There is nowhere to look. So it's kind of just price creating new support, which is why kind of double bottoms are a good thing to look at, because we create support, then we respect the support again. Buying straight away is always a little bit more shooting in the dark sort of situation. You don't really know if the support is significant or not. Something like double bottom kind of convinces you that, okay, we've had 2 attempts to try and break through. Perhaps now we're going to see a move to the upside. So I would keep an eye on that for Aussie CHF. Same thing for New Zealand CHF as well. This has looked pretty bearish as well, creating new all-time lows. Really big move to the downside. I think this one's a bit more stretched than Aussie, to be honest. So we might even see a bigger recovery for this one at some point. But again, looking to the left, you can see every time we have these aggressive spikes, the market does eventually recover. So same thing for Aussie CHF, and it makes sense because at all-time lows, sellers are not going to be so active anymore. Previously sellers would be looking to hold positions, in these areas, but once price does something like this, it's met their targets, it has done the job. There's nowhere else to look for price to go than a retracement. So you're going to see people take profit, you're going to see people close positions. And of course, naturally, some buyers will be looking to jump into the market as well, and that should drive price back up again. So yeah, I would expect to see a bit of a pullback here for New Zealand CHF at some point. But again, I'll probably wait for that kind of double bottom support to form again before looking for a buy. In terms of CAD CHF, kind of the same thing here as well, but I think I would prefer to try and get long on Aussie or New Zealand, just because I'm expecting AUD or NZD to be a bit stronger, because they've been so weak for a while. So I think naturally they'll pull back. But it's the same situation in terms of, as we can see, if we zoom out, we've had some big spikes to the downside here. I'm expecting price to pull back to the upside at some point here as well. The way I see it, we're back at all-time lows, so a big pullback is on the cards. It's likely to happen. And looking at the 4-hour chart as well, price is losing steam, but again, we probably will push back down first with this one. So again, kind of looking for support to build first before taking a buy. We're at all-time lows. It's difficult to gauge support and resistance at all-time lows because there is no support to look for apart from the support price creates. So again, we've created a bit of support here at 0.596. If we can return there, respect it again, perhaps there could be some nice signals that do develop, wicks, strong bullish engulfing candles, that could provide a nice short opportunity to take. So that's kind of what I'll be eyeing up for CAD CHF. But at the moment, it's just very, very tricky to kind of maneuver with. So I'll wait for price to kind of give me that double bottom first before getting involved. Pound CHF, this one, wow, that one had a really big gap on the weekend and continued falling. This one as well looks pretty bearish to me. I think there's more downside to be had for pound CHF too, actually. Yeah, I mean, this one's nowhere near all-time lows, so it doesn't have the same incentive as Aussie or New Zealand or CAD to see upside. We have to be trading at least below these lows to consider that, and we are nowhere near that. So I'll be very, very cautious of buying pound CHF. If anything, I think this one's is likely to keep falling and probably wick through the lows here. maybe it is actually working its way back to the low there, but that will be a discussion for another time. But yeah, pound CHF to me is looking pretty bearish there as well. I think we're probably likely going to keep falling there too. Euro CHF, I know this one hasn't taken out lows either. So this one might want to push too. I'm pretty sure this is the all-time low. If I go to the monthly chart just to make sure. Yeah, well, it's at least the all-time low since the 70s, so we can consider that as the all-time low. So yeah, price is looking like it's on a one-way trip to the all-time lows as well with this one. I did say yesterday that some pullbacks for Euro CHF look good. If you can come back, retest some support here, now turn resistance, that'll be a nice place to short, but I was not expecting a very exaggerated wick like that one, so it would have been a very difficult short to take, to be honest. How quickly did that happen? Yeah, it was a very quick move in the 15-minute chart there in the afternoon, so it would be difficult to take that position regardless. But yeah, if it was to come back for another retest, that would be nice. If price was to come back, pull back into that zone, retest it again, I think that would be a nice place to short from. And then we could see a continuation back into the low. But the way I see it, Euro CHF's had a big bullish move. It's tried to continue. All that's happened is just a big consolidation. One last attempt to turn bullish with this move here. Then we come crashing back down, come back to retest it. Now we'll likely see a continuation of that momentum. So I think Euro CHF is probably likely to fall as well. Which, to be honest, if Euro CHF is likely to fall, that means Euro Yen might be the better trade than Swiss Yen. That's, of course, banking that my Euro CHF analysis is correct as well. But it might mean that Euro Yen's a better trade to take if you, of course, Euro CHF is likely to fall. But again, when I'm trading the yen pairs, I'm not necessarily looking to trade Euro or Swiss. It's more so I'm kind of trading the yen. So if I'm shorting Euro Yen, I'm basically focusing on the buy of the yen. I'm banking on yen strength, because typically when the yen pairs move, the predominant currency is the yen. So if the yen is strong, it's normally stronger than other currencies. If it's weak, it's normally weaker than other currencies, and that's how we see those trends form. But yeah, Euro Yen might be the better position. So we'll see when candles close, and I'll make my decision when it's closer to taking the trade. But that's pretty much it for the CHF pairs, apart from dollar CHF, which I forgot earlier to take a look at. So originally I was actually looking to buy this one last week. I said if price can break out the consolidation to the upside, it would be a nice opportunity for a long. But we did not get that at all. Price consolidated continuously, then eventually had a very nasty break to the downside. I was looking for us to break higher and take some longs, but we never got that. So yeah, now that dollar CHF is back at, well, not quite at support just yet, but we're getting there. So now price is almost back at the lows. I do think there'll be a bit of a bounce there for pound NZD. For pound NZD, I just saw your comment, pound NZD. For dollar CHF, I think there might be a bit of a bounce there. But I think, yeah, I prefer pound USD and which other pair? Euro USD, sorry. I prefer them to over dollar CHF, so I'm just going to focus my efforts on those two currency pairs. Dollar CHF, I kind of want this one to fall a little bit further before I do engage in any buys. We've got really strong support here. I can see price kind of reacting to that consolidation on the left, but I wouldn't be banking on that for a buy just yet, especially with how price is reacting. Not really looking to do too much. I have not done pound NZD yet. I will take a look at it in a second though, Lewis. So yeah, dollar CHF, I think some pullbacks would look nice with this one. So if we could pull back, let's say, into this kind of area, that would be a nice place for a short. 0.875, I think that would look good. Right now, we kind of just got very kind of consolidation, very choppy behavior, so I wouldn't look to engage at all in this area. But if we were to kind of slowly push away to the upside, that might provide some nice opportunities to take and short price back down again. So I'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, for the rest of the CHF pairs, not really interested apart from CHF JPY. That's the only other trade I do like the look of. I will take a look at pound NZD next for you, no problem. If we could see pound NZD get back to have we taken out the 2020 highs? Oh no, we did that a long time ago. I was thinking about pound Aussie. So yeah, with pound NZD, I think there is a pullback in store of this one. The market's still very corrective. We have kind of sort of picked up pace a little bit, but overall still very corrective. So I do think we're likely to pull back at some stage. Drop into the 4-hour chart. The market's pulled back pretty nicely. It is still pretty corrective though, so I'm not too sure if I'm ready for that drop just yet. Let me actually scale to the hourly chart. So yeah, we are still pretty corrective. I still like the buys, but then I would be cautious as we approach this kind of area here. So I do think there is a bit of an up move to take, but as soon as we come back into this area, we might then turn around. So I would be very careful of that happening. Yeah, the market's still definitely bullish, still very consistent with the higher lows. But as we kind of come back into these areas, I got a feeling that a low high could print. I'm looking at how the market is developing. One high, second high, third, fourth there potentially. Could see a fifth and then a continuation. So short-term buys look good for pound NZD, but we might keep selling off. So I'll watch out for that. I think the market's had a really nice move, but it might be hitting a top soon. EU and G fundamental Forex portfolio parts. Focus on EU and G on the 15. Okay, I'll take a look at them on the 15-minute chart. Hey, what's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm just focused on the yen pairs at the moment. Euro yen, Swiss yen looking good to me. Hopefully find a position to jump in. What's good with dollar CAD and UJ? Okay, I'll take a look at them both. First, I'll take a look at Euro USD and pound on the 15 for Anton. And then I'll take a look at dollar CAD and dollar yen. So yesterday I was talking about some shorts on the 15 for Euro. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, so I was talking about some shorts for a retest of the high here, but that didn't happen. So I pointed out that price was pretty consistent with the lower highs. One over there. And then we formed kind of another one over there. Another one there. There as well. I was anticipating that to be the next one. And I think at the time we were trading around here. So I said if price can pull back to retest the high, that would be nice. And perhaps that would be a great place for an entry. Entry at the double top, stops above the high, targets back at the low. Looking at a very good risk to reward ratio there and a decent opportunity for a trade. So I think that'll be a solid opportunity there for Euro USD, but we never had that pullback. Looks like we've kind of formed a potential of the lower high here. I'm looking at this trend line here as well. Looks like price has come back to test that too. So potentially that is another lower high and price is getting ready to short. If that's the case, then targets more or less back down at support there as well, 1.088805. So Euro USD in the 15-minute chart, ideally you kind of already want to be in a position. I wouldn't be looking to do anything now. Longs not in the best position for that. Shorts not in the best position for that either. Of course, if you are looking to take a trade, then you kind of want price to pull back up, potentially double top the high there and get in off the back of that. Stops above the high. That would be nice. I also do like the longs down here. I'm also looking at this trade as a more hourly or 4-hour trade, but I think that would be a nice place for a short as well. and a nice place to bank on potentially price having a bit of a reaction. After all, we are still very corrective on the way down. So I think for Euro USD, there's probably a decent move to be had with this one, but I would wait for us to either push back into resistance, take a short from the high, or drop back into support and take some longs from here. So that's the way I'm looking to maneuver Euro USD on the 15. In terms of pound USD on the 15, still looking pretty bearish. I think there could be some nice buys coming up. We're coming back into 1.27 here. I think that could be a decent buy to take. With this one, I probably would wait for another push back into support there. I like how we've had one bounce, a second bounce there as well. We might see price push down, get a third bounce, and then take off. And that could be a nice place for a buy. And again, when I mean take off, I'm not necessarily talking about a big reversal, but at least a reaction that could be worthwhile to profit from. Personally, I still like the sells here with pound USD, more so on like the 4-hour hourly chart. As you can see, nice consolidation there. Price ripped to the upside, strong move back down. I'd love to see price push back into that zone, respect it, then again look to sell off from there as well. So pound USD, to me, that looks like a nice place to short from, and you could probably look for entries on the 15-minute chart when we get there as well. Of course, it's probably going to take a few days for that to happen, but for now, I think buys for pound USD look good on the 15 as that develops. Okay, so let's take a look at dollar CAD, and then we'll go take a look at dollar yen next as well. So yeah, with dollar CAD, I've been pretty bearish on this one. I was debating an entry to short it this morning actually, but as I said earlier, it's just the risk to reward wasn't great. So if I map it out, entries on that candle there, stops above the high, first target around the 0.7. So for me, that wasn't ideal in terms of the risk to reward. I kind of want at least a 1 to 2 before I can say a position is worthwhile. 0.7 definitely not going to look to try and entertain. And there was no kind of solid entry before that as well in the 4-hour chart. So I've stayed away from the market. But what I would say is we're seeing some really decent rejection here. Really powerful support once, twice, the third time there as well. Really strong break. Price come back to retest it. Momentum's kind of slowed down. We've looked a bit more corrective, which is a good sign because we were very impulsive on the way up. But we've slowed down. We've become a lot more corrective at the moment. So for dollar CAD, I'm looking to see if price can get back into resistance, potentially double top it, and then we have another sell. So that's kind of what I'm banking on for dollar CAD. Another push back into resistance. It's another rejection. Stops above the high, same as before, pretty much, and then targets right back at support, back to where we came from. So I'm really liking the look of this dollar CAD opportunity. But first thing first, I need to push back into resistance first. And I might entertain some entries on the hourly chart. There's a nice wick there yesterday as we kind of failed to break through resistance. We tried to, but failed, pull back down. Really solid entry signal. But yeah, we'll like to see price push back into resistance first before coming down. In terms of dollar yen, this one I'm looking for a bit bigger of a pullback. I mentioned this afternoon that I'd like to see price push back into 1.495 before shorting, because the way we kind of moved here, price is still very corrective on the way down. So in terms of a nice swing position, I'm looking for us to push back into 1.49, and then from there, perhaps we might get the next swing back into support, which is 145.5, and perhaps a lot further as well. So keep an eye on dollar yen. I like the opportunity a lot. I like it a lot, but I do prefer euro and Swiss, so I'm more focused on them. But if dollar yen gets there, then I will be adding dollar yen to the list as well as something I want to short. But the market hasn't retraced much, especially after taking out major lows there, so I'm not so eager on this one just yet. But push back into 149, 149.5. I do feel like a solid trade can form there. So yeah, pretty bearish on dollar yen, bearish dollar CAD. Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm not so bearish on dollar yen, dollar CAD because of my bearish bias on USD. I still do have that bearish bias on the DXY, but I do want it to see a bit more upside before I do look to sell. 103.8, 104 is kind of the area which I'm looking for price to get to first before I do kind of look for some sells. Manuel, Euro Pound, yes, we will take a look at that for you, no problem. Euro Pound, last time I checked, was looking very, very bullish. Last time I checked, Euro Yen was looking very bullish. I think we smashed through 0.85. You're kidding me with the double top on USD CAD. Yesterday it was a spike, and good heavens it spiked. I'm not having a double top. Yeah, I think in terms of the way dollar CAD moves, it does love the kind of retest and back and forth moves first before it does make its move. It's not a choppy pair, but it does chop a little bit, especially before it makes its bigger moves. Almost sneezed there. Almost sneezed. So yeah, it does chop around a bit, and double tops and double bottoms can be really effective for entries, especially in dollar CAD as well. So I'll probably look into that because I know you focus a lot on dollar CAD in terms of your trading. So I'll keep an eye on that. Those double tops, double bottoms, really powerful entries, because sometimes they kind of spike like yesterday as well, and that would taken out people out of the market. But then you're just kind of ready and waiting to enter on that spike and get involved. So I'll look into that a lot more. Okay, let's go through Euro Pound. So yeah, Euro Pound looking very, very bullish. We had a big week last week, and looks like this week has just continued off the back of that. So yeah, Euro Pound looking very bullish. I think it's safe to say that the market has kind of reversed from this monthly support level. As you can see, really massive support back in 2017, again in 2020, again in 2022, then again 24, 25, we found support there again. A really, really big level of support. It would take a lot of momentum for us to break through this and see more downside. So now that we've respected it, of course, can't take this candle too much into consideration. This is the monthly chart, by the way. I'll drop to the lower time frames in a minute. You can't take this candle into consideration too much because it's still live and it's still got 22 days left before it closes. So it's not even a halfway through its shelf life here. So a lot can happen. We could either push to the upside and look even more bullish, or we could pull back and leave a big wick there. So all we can say confidently is that momentum is looking bullish right now. That of course could change. I do like the way we've kind of shifted. It's like a very slow kind of bowl shape pattern almost, and we've broken to the upside very impulsively. So that does tell me that if we do see some downside, it's likely to come back and find support, and for us to continue back to the upside again. So for Euro Pound, I'll just be looking at pullbacks before looking to take a buy. So something like this would be a nice trade. So a pullback, 0.846, 848 roughly. Yeah, even potentially a push back to the high there on the left, 0.86. I feel like that would be a really nice trade there. Scale to the 4-hour chart. Yeah, really nice resistance, strong break to the upside. So yeah, I'll look for a pullback here for Euro Pound back into support there. I feel like that would be a nice position. I think more upside could happen as well. I mean, if I go back to the monthly chart quickly, if you look at some of the reactions we've had, very big move, very big move, very big move. Who's to say we can't see another one of those big moves as well for Euro Pound? So yeah, Euro Pound looking very bullish to me right now. I really like the break when we tested this level. It broke to the upside very impulsively. We haven't come back for a retest as well. So it's a fresh level with a clean break, which normally gives good retests and good entries for retests as well. So yeah, the way I see it, Euro Pound, It's definitely looking like a decent buy opportunity. I just need to wait for a decent pullback. No problem, Manuel. Happy to help. So if euro pound is bullish, that means euro, of course, is a lot stronger than the pound, which makes sense because pound USD has been tanking and euro not so much. But I do expect them to catch up at some point. But in terms of some of the other crosses, so we've had a look at pound NZD. That looks like it's slowly working its way back down. In terms of pound Aussie, so again, massive move to the upside last week. Okay, this one did spike through the COVID highs there from 2020. From 2020. There we go. Much better pronunciation. We do have resistance here. When was this? Back in 2015. Wow, we're coming back to some areas which haven't been in for a long time. So yeah, we're testing some major levels of resistance. So I do think pound Aussie will eventually form a bit of a top and come back down, even if it is just a bit of retracement for us to keep going higher. But I do think the market is likely going to hit a bit of a top soon and see some downside from that as well. So if I do scale to lower time frames, this is the daily chart. Nice wicks to the upside. We do have some areas of support the market might want to come back down and test, which is 2.07061. That's kind of the area which I want price to kind of drift towards before talking about any longs. Right now, if I even drop to the hourly chart, yeah, I'm still seeing these lower highs, which are still very prominent. So 1, 2, 3, you can perhaps stick a fourth there as well. I do think if we push up, we probably will form another lower high and push back down again. Something like this probably will happen there for pound Aussie as well. And then maybe when we start coming back into those areas, we can start talking about support again and some buys. But yeah, I think some nice counter trend sells, especially when we do see these last, big bullish candles right at the top of trends. They do tend to indicate sometimes reversal. So those are key candles to look out for. We've had them quite a lot, such as with pound USD recently as well, and perhaps with pound CAD, which is starting to form. You can see pound USD has been trending to the upside for a while. We've got one big bullish candle to the upside. What happens? Price completely reverses from that. If you look at pound CAD as well, if we go to the weekly chart, price has been pushing up for a while. Big bullish candle to the upside. It looks like we're starting to reverse from that. Although we'll see what price does in the retest of this level, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a complete reversal. If I go to Euro Aussie, we've had a look at Euro NZD, but Euro Aussie as well, massive candle to the upside. It's funny because if I go to the monthly chart, COVID highs are all the way over there, and we're nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. I mean, we're back in resistance. I do think eventually the market is going to come back and retest that range there, but it's a long way away from that, and I think Euro Aussie is in need of a pullback pretty soon. So again, I think the best play here for Euro Aussie, with how stretched the market is of course going to be selling opportunities, counter trend opportunities. I think the buys have definitely left the station. You really want to be in a buy for this one. You don't be looking to take buys right now. I think the market's likely going to form a bit of a top soon. Drop into the hourly chart. Again, you can see we had a very tired market. We dropped to the downside, big wick. Momentum came back in. But what happened? We came back and respected resistance. So it looks like the highs here are holding. So again, we might even push to the upside again. And if highs get respected again, I do think this is going to start giving us the characteristics of a top forming. And we could see price roll over. We've got some areas to look at, a brief range there. That could be a draw on price. A lot of buying pressure will be there as well. Could see price come back there to find some more buys before it tries to continue. Or could it come back all the way to this area, a nice range just on top of the bigger range where price exploded to the upside from there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we slowly work our way back down to that level there too. So I'm expecting to see Aussie and NZD gain strength, really, to be honest. They've been so bearish for a number of weeks now, potentially a number of months. So I do think they're going to find some strength. And again, it's probably just a pullback for them to continue selling off. But no currency, no market moves in a straight line. Even if crazy, it's a crazy time for them. You'll see some weakness. You'll see recoveries. And I'm expecting one to happen soon. So pairs like Euro, Aussie, pound entity, Euro entity, I'm expecting them to see some downside in terms of pullbacks. Then pairs like Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, Aussie yen, New Zealand yen, Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, I'm expecting them to pull back as well pretty soon. Now, most of them, those trades can be a little bit aggressive because, of course, Aussie's been so weak. So you are buying a pretty weak currency, but you're expecting it to gain some strength over time. If we look at Aussie CAD, for example, in fact, if I go to the monthly chart, you can see where this one's trading. Look to the left, you can see massive level of support here. And again, this monthly candle has brought us right back into that zone. So naturally, I do think we can see price have a bit of relief from here. The past 2 times we were trading at this area, price respected it once, pretty big move to the upside. Price respected it again, pretty big move to the upside. Now we're there a third time. I'm not expecting necessarily a big move to the upside, but what I am expecting is support to form and a bit of a pullback, especially when we're quite stretched too. This is a huge move. I think we do deserve to see some upside at the very least. So Aussie CAD looks good. As I've been saying with the buys for these type of pairs and these type of opportunities, kind of waiting for a bit of a double bottom to form. I know we sort of got one there forming, but it's not very strong, so I wouldn't get too excited by that. I think this is more of a lower time frame double bottom opportunity really. So I kind of would wait for price to push away a little bit further to really confirm support there is forming or holding, and then I'll look to try and see if I can take price to the upside off the back of that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there for Aussie CAD. But yeah, we're taking out some really key support on the left here, so I'm not so keen about the sells anymore. We've already had that move there. We've had our fun with the sells. New Zealand CAD, same situation as well. Really big drop there to the downside. Price is looking very bearish. We've taken out some major lows. If I do bring this from here, you can see price is still respecting support there too. So not really interested about trying to take any sells anymore. The sells have already had their fun. And again, when I'm talking about sells as well, I'm talking about the swing trade. I'm not talking about lower time frames, because you can find a trade for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, catch some nice shorts there, but you wouldn't be looking to try and hold that position for a couple of days, because you're probably going to run into a bit of trouble, especially trading at such a level of support. Price may still go and break through this, but it's best to wait for price to either pull away back into resistance and then short, or wait for price to simply break the level and short below it, not directly into it. GJ 5-minute time frame. I haven't looked at that one. Let's have a look. Let me remove my drawings. Okay. So GJ overall still looks pretty bearish. Have you been trading GJ much, Dark Shom? Or have you just been focusing on NAS 100? But yeah, GJ's been pretty flat, I would say. It looks like we're starting to pick up the pace, but we're only coming back into support here on our left. So that doesn't do much for me right now. I think price is eventually going to see a swing back into the lows here. I would still say price is looking pretty bearish as a whole, but we're being pretty corrective on the way down. So it's not like we're ripping to the downside, seeing a lot of momentum. We're very corrective, which is nothing that gets me too excited about big short. So I've got a feeling we might push back up again. I think if we can push back closer to this kind of territory, that'd be a nice place for a short. Altogether, there's some really strong resistance in this area. as we can see. So I'll kind of wait to see a move like this for a sell. And that would be something that would interest me in the 5-minute. And then, yeah, targets back at support and maybe the low there as well. Okay, gold on the 15. Yeah, we'll take a look as well. Okay, you've been between the two, taking the better opportunity. Yeah, it makes sense. But the volatility at hand now gives better. Yeah, it would do. Yeah, that'll be something to think about as well. So yeah, with pound yen, that's kind of what I'll be looking at. Another push to the upside. I mean, there might be some buys there, but naturally, my instinct would be looking to sell pound yen. Maybe that's just from the higher time frames, but the current trend as well is still pretty bearish. I know we do have some areas of support on our left, which prices doesn't even go back far enough. Which is, oh no, it does over here. So it is coming back to some areas of support, which we are starting to respect. But we've been trending to the downside so well. I think yen is still pretty strong as well. So yeah, I'd only be looking to try and sell this one. Okay, so I'll do gold on the 15 as well. Okay, so gold 15. So with gold in the 15, I still do like the sells, but it does look like to me we're probably going to get another push to the upside here. So I would wait to see if price can take out the highs here on the left, push to the upside, see another rejection, and then use that for a short. Because we were coming back into this range here, we did see a decent move to the downside. Yesterday I was mentioning a retest of this area, but of course we can see price did not have that. It just kind of sold off a cliff a little bit. But we've had a very corrected move from this very strong impulsive move. This, of course, our last lower high in the market to give us that drop. We've taken out these lows here, created new lows there. Now I'm looking at this as a pullback for continuation of that last bearish move. So gold, I'll probably wait for another spike to the upside, see if we can take out the highs there previously. Potentially any early sellers in the market with stops above the high there and go liquidate that, and then potentially use that to start a move to the downside. And of course, targets, keeping it simple, back into price support down there at 29.70. So yeah, in my book, gold 15 still looks pretty bearish. I'll probably wait for one more push to the upside before looking to short. But there's a really healthy range there. There's a lot of momentum in the market. I think naturally we're going to see some more downside anyway. So yeah, gold, keep a close eye on the sells. Euro USD, what's my view? So yeah, Euro USD, I'm pretty well, I actually got multiple kind of views of this one. At the moment I'm more focused on the longs right now. As we can see, if I just move that out of the way. So as we can see with Euro USD, we've got this lovely range here, strong drop to the downside and a really big move there. So we know that a lot of bearish momentum comes from that area. And now recently we've tapped back into that level again, of course, with this bullish wick here. And we've of course pulled back and closed bullish, but we do have a big wick to the upside. So price is showing respect to that zone, which is where we have to be a bit careful of. I still like the current trend of Euro USD, which is bullish move, consolidation, bullish move, consolidation, bullish move. So there's clear bullish structure here for Euro. It's just about how long it will last and whether this level will hold and topple price or whether we continue through it. So in terms of a decent long opportunity, I like the buys, but I just don't want to be buying directly into that level. So I like the brief consolidation here as well. Nice strong move to the upside. If we can come back and retest that zone, then I'm eager to try and take some longs. Again, nothing special. I'm not necessarily looking to swing it back to the high and beyond, just because I'm being cautious of that higher time frame zone on the weekly chart, which we could turn around from. But this is a nice level. We had a strong impulse, price pullback, consolidated, another strong impulse. This is still a very corrective down move, which gives me confidence that longs look good. I did say at the start of the week, if we impulse to the downside, if we see strong moves down, then that's not what I want to see. Kind of like what pound USD did, or exactly like what pound USD did. This one rocketed to the downside. That's not what I want to see for a good buy. That does not give me the impression of a pullback. On the other hand, Euro is doing a very nice impression of a pullback. So I'm more enthusiastic for the longs right now. Just wait and see if we can get back down to 1.085300 for some longs, and hopefully find some entries there, take it back up again. But yeah, to me, Euro USD still a big fan of the longs. Just being cautious with targets. As soon as we come back into 1.1, I'll be looking to manage the trade a little bit more closely. Lighten, yes, we can take a look at USDR, no problem. Again, let me know the time frames you're looking to work on as well, so I can be a bit more useful as well. But yeah, USDR very bullish. We smashed into resistance, didn't we? Or just about. Yeah, just about. But we did get to resistance there yesterday. Again, this is the weekly chart here. This is a good time frame for a good overview of what price is doing. Overall still looks pretty bullish, but now it's hitting some resistance, so perhaps we do see some downside. Now, I do think price is still likely to take a wick through the high. So if I kind of delete the zone, mark out the wick high there. I do think price is likely to go and take out the wick. So the way I'm looking at, where am I? There we are. The way I'm looking at USDR is that there's still more upside to be had. We've just about hit some resistance. I do think price is likely to pull back and then continue. So as I mentioned yesterday, a nice opportunity would be a retest of this area. Nice brief range. Then we flew to the upside. I think even a retest of this high wouldn't be such a bad idea now that we've had a much healthier breakout and we cleared it by a much bigger distance. A pullback into one of those two areas looks pretty good to me. 19.21, 19.13. And then, of course, keeping it relatively simple, back into the high. Or, of course, back into the weekly swing high or even monthly swing high, which is 19.91. So, yeah, the way I'm looking at USDR is that I'm pretty bullish on this one. A lot more upside, a lot of momentum. A really sharp move to the upside there as well. So, just looking at a pullback and then some long opportunities. Let me know what you're looking at USDR for. Amir, what is up? Okay, so dollar CAD short 40 minutes. We'll take a look. Dollar CAD. Oh, okay, 30 minutes. Yeah, we'll take a look. No problem. That position on USD has hit target, though it wasn't my trade because it didn't hit my zone. What could have, would have. Yeah, of course, any trade can play out, any trade can lose as well. I think that the best thing to look at is just, plan your trade out and, take a screenshot of that idea and then take a screenshot of when it's finished, whether the trade played out or failed or hit your zone or didn't hit your zone. That way you can kind of learn with, gathering data as you trade real time. But yeah, if it didn't play ball, didn't hit your zone, there'll be trades I'm looking at, it doesn't hit my zone, you chalk it to the game. The plan is never to try and take every trade, because if you try and take every trade possible, you'd be up to your eyeballs with positions, and you won't be able to manage your risk or just manage your positions in general. But yeah, if it didn't hit your zone, on to the next one. There's always will be another trade around the corner. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD 30-minute. So dollar CAD, I'm still really trying to short this one. I've talked about a potential double top if price will be kind enough to push back into resistance. We've got a very powerful level of resistance above us, which price respected really well on the 4-hour daily chart, pretty well. So I'm kind of looking to see if we can pull back up, come back to retest that zone and find some shorting opportunities. Yeah, for a 30-minute time frame, I want to see price spike back into resistance again, and then we can start to talk about some shorts. Of course, targets, we can either look at the wick low here or just the lows over here. The way I see it, as long as we can hold resistance, I'm expecting us to get there, but you know, that could be a decent support to manage your position and lock in some gains. But yeah, dollar CAD, very bearish on this one. As long as 1.428 holds, we had successive lower highs in the 4-hour chart. One over there, second over there, third over there. Now I'm looking at fourth, and potentially that double top might be that fourth. And of course, back into the lows we go, and then potentially we've got a big level around 1.4 there as well too. So yeah, pretty bearish here for dollar CAD. Just need to see price come back into resistance. The risk reward wasn't great for me in the morning, so I didn't enter the position. But if you can come back into resistance, respect it again, perhaps can get a much better zone, a much better reaction to the zone, much better entry, and improve my risk reward and hopefully find a trade. So USD CAD is definitely something I'm keeping a close eye on. But a 30-minute chart, all I'm looking at is strong break to the downside, looking at a correction for some more shorts. The double top at the high here is kind of where we're looking for entries, 1.427. And then, yeah, if we can get a solid rejection, wicks, bearish engulfing candle, that will provide a nice entry there as well. But the way I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the dollar here. And to me, it looks like the dollar still has a bit more upside to give. I'm looking at the DXY, and I'm looking at the zone here. And I'm wondering if we can still push a little bit higher. Of course, there is some support and resistance on the left here, but it hasn't really held too well. Price did break above it, so now it's broken back below. Looks like we're coming back in for another retest at the moment, but I would wait for price to get there. That's the much better zone. Maybe it does hold resistance for a little bit, but I wouldn't expect it to hold for long. This one's got a lot more going for it, and if you stay corrective and not seeing too much momentum, that could provide a really nice sell to take advantage of maybe later in the week. Start with the double top funds from the line. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's trading for you. Yeah, you just got to manage your positions, manage your risk, manage your positions, and that's the only thing you can do. But that pushes definitely a possibility. Of course, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Most of the time, to be honest, when I do mention double tops and price making a push to the upside, I'm not necessarily banking on that happening. It's more so if you're not in the trade and you want to find a trade for dollar CAD, you do want it to push up first before it does go down. So the double top there for dollar CAD is not necessarily what I'm expecting price to do, although it does look like price is starting to find support here. But I'm not necessarily expecting dollar CAD to push. It could very well do something like this. Respect all this kind of wicks in here on the 4-hour chart. We might respect resistance there, 1.42, and potentially roll over. So we might not see price push back into resistance up there. We might just test level here and then push down. But if we do push back into resistance and do see some more wicks form there, then that would be a second opportunity to get into a dollar CAD trade and take the short. Sometimes I do favor it to happen, especially if the market's very, very corrective. Then I would favor a bit of a wick to the upside, then price to turn around. In this case, I'm not necessarily banking on it. But yeah, if you're not in a position, you want to get short on dollar CAD, you can enter now, but just the risk reward won't be great. You kind of want price to push up so you can refine your risk, get back into resistance, get close to resistance, and then you can take a position off the back of that. That would be a much better opportunity. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with dollar CAD. So yeah, in terms of my watch list, like I said, Swiss yen and Euro yen at the top of it. How is Swiss yen doing? Okay, still finding support there. So Swiss yen not really playing ball just yet. Again, it's in a really nice place for a short, but I just need to time it well. At the moment, we're still looking like we're seeing upside momentum. I need price to kind of give me that top forming. If it did give me a strong close below that level, I would take the trade, but we're respecting at support right now, so it doesn't look like Swiss yen is quite ready just yet. Euro yen, however, okay, picking up momentum. How we're looking on the 8-hour chart, looking a lot better. So if we can get a solid close, could be looking at a trade that looks like this for Euro yen. That's a nice little 1 to 2 back into support. And I do think we can go further as well, so I might hold into that. The only thing with Euro yen is just that the stop loss is just in a little bit of a choppy place, because you got the wicks there. So ideally, I'll probably want it there, but I'm happy with it there as well. I've come back into resistance, we respected it. So I'll probably wait for that 8-hour to close, which is about 2 hours and 6 minutes. So still a while, a lot can happen in that time. But it looks like we're holding. So if that's the case, then I probably would take Euro yen instead of Swiss. Unless Swiss turns around and then looks bearish in the next 2 hours and 6 minutes, I might just stay away from CHF JPY. I mean, I both expect them to fall, but it might just mean Euro is the better trade. I had a look at Euro CHF as well. Looks like Euro CHF is likely to head down. So if that's the case, then Euro is probably the better trade. And that's if my analysis on Euro CHF is correct. It could be wrong, of course. But yeah, Euro yen's looking a lot better, so I'll probably end up taking that position. Pound USD, I'll keep an eye for pullbacks for this one. This is another pair on the watch list. So in terms of my watch list, it's CHF JPY, Euro yen, Pound USD. So shorts from 1.29 look good. Euro USD longs from 1.08 something, 0.8500. That's why I'm looking to take some longs for Euro, so waiting for a bit more downside there as well. Yeah, I'm not really looking at any other USD pairs. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, no. Okay, yeah, dollar CAD, I forgot about dollar CAD. Yeah, dollar CAD I'm looking at as well. So if that can retest the high, give me a better entry than this morning, then yeah, I'll take a position there with dollar CAD short as well. And that's pretty much it with the other pairs. Yeah, I'm not really looking for much else, to be honest. Yeah, CAD pairs. I mean, yeah, Euro CAD doesn't interest me too much. I think Pound CAD I'll keep an eye on, but I'm more kind of getting ready for a sell for this one. I know price at support right now, and if it does respect it, it could be a decent buy. But because the market is so stretched, I got a feeling that we are going to keep pushing down. So I'm kind of waiting to see if Pound CAD can break underneath the support level. Sort of like what Pound CAD did, and then look for some opportunities to take some shorts. I feel like that could be a really nice trade. Probably sometime next week, actually. I think for the rest of this week, see a bit more downside, and next week you can get the pullback and the continuation. So Pound CAD I'm interested in, but like I said, still got a lot of work to do before that does set. And yeah, CHF pairs, not really too interested about apart from CHF JPY. Then gold and silver. I think gold buys could be on the horizon as gold does come back into this consolidation here. So I'll keep an eye on that. Overall, really nice consolidation, big powerful move to the upside, creating new highs. So that does interest me there for gold. Now that we're coming back into that zone, especially this might be the next best swing opportunity for gold in a while, in case gold kind of just keeps up with that momentum. Because that's the thing with gold, and why I haven't traded much is just because there hasn't been much of a pullback for a while. We had a big pullback there. Since then, not much has happened. Now this is the first time we've got a half decent pullback into a decent zone as well. So this is definitely something I need to keep a close eye on. But yeah, kind of want price to pull back a little bit deeper, perhaps give me a bit of a double bottom, then provide some nice long opportunities later on. So yeah, gold, again, not on the watch list just yet, but definitely something that could end up on the watch list by the end of the week or maybe next week. And silver, don't really have too much to say for silver. I'm kind of just keeping a close eye on it. I was buying this one last week, but now that we've got this humongous sell, it's definitely made things awkward. All right, Yusuf, take care, my man. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate you coming onto the stream, and I'm glad it helped. If you guys have enjoyed the analysis, please be sure to drop a like on the video, on the stream. It does really help out. I do really appreciate everyone who has liked, subscribed, hit the bell, engage with the channel. It does really help out. I do really appreciate that from you guys as well. But yeah, take care, Yusuf. We'll catch you tomorrow. And then, yeah, in terms of the indices as well, just looking for pullbacks there as well. But I'm pretty sure we had a bit of a recovery for some of the cryptocurrencies, didn't we? Okay, not as big as I thought it was. I mean, kind of similar to the indices, isn't it? NAS, S&P recovered a little bit yesterday, so did Bitcoin, and I think Ethereum. I'm not sure about Ethereum actually. Yeah, pull back a little bit, but not much. XRP. Okay, so XRP is pretty interesting because yesterday we were looking very bearish below the zone, but now it looks like prices pull back and more or less closes the doji. So overall, support looks like it's holding, but it's a little bit up in the air. XLM USD, yeah, pull back as well. But yeah, crypto's still looking pretty bearish. I think for Bitcoin, we're still likely to keep falling. I like the zone here at 72, 74K. Have we tested it yet? I don't think we have. No, we haven't. So I like a little bit more downside for us to go and test that zone and respect it, find some wicks, and then hopefully we might see a nice reaction to that, which could provide a nice buy. But the way Bitcoin is falling, it's just very corrective. So I do expect us to bounce. If Bitcoin was kind of slamming hard to the ground, then it'll be 50-50 whether we break or hold. But because we're so corrective, I think there's a greater chance we do respect the zone and we do turn around. So I think the buys here are looking pretty good here for Bitcoin. Just need to see price actually give us the test, and then we could talk about some longs. But yeah, I'm not too sure about longs back to highs. It's just more of maybe a pullback for us to keep falling, so be wary of that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on the dollar, see how that does develop. At the moment, looking for a bit more upside than some shorts. Euro yen picked up momentum pretty nicely here, so might be some nice entries on the 8-hour candle here, probably in the next 2 hours. So if that can close how it's looking, I'll jump into that. And yeah, target's more or less back at the low. I do think the wick low will go low, so that would be a nice opportunity, but I'll keep you guys updated. And Swiss yen, if that can play ball too, maybe that will be the better trade, but so far not just yet. But anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. If you do want to stay in touch, check out the Discord channel. There'll be updates there. You can chat with other traders, share ideas. I share ideas there as well. So if you do want to see what people are looking to trade, what I'm looking at as well, join the Discord. Links in the description and also at the top of the chat. If you have enjoyed the stream, guys, please be sure to drop a like before you leave. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel and, of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But, guys, I do really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.